everyone, we're here with Demystifying Research, and we have a really special researcher amongst us today. Her name is Dr. Iwona Bielska, and we're really interested in knowing more about the life of a researcher. So thank you so much for being here with you, and if it's okay with you, we'll ask her to introduce herself. So let's get started.
Thank you for having me here, and thanks, Natasha. So a brief introduction about myself. I'm an epidemiologist, PhD trained, and a health services researcher. I have two appointments. My first one is as an assistant professor in the Department of Health Policy and Management at the Institute of Public Health at Jagiellonian University in Krakow, Poland. I also have a part-time affiliation with McMaster University as an assistant professor in the Department of Health Research Methods, Evidence, and Impact. My research focuses on the functioning of the healthcare system, and I have experience conducting quantitative, so based on different databases, numerical data, as well as qualitative studies. So these are based on information that's collected from the patient, their caregivers, other clinicians, often in their own words. I also have analyzed and interpreted research findings from large clinical databases, administrative data sets, and population health surveys. Currently, I'm working on two projects. The first one deals with analyzing the characteristics and healthcare utilization patterns of patients who have high use of the emergency department in Krakow, Poland. And the second project deals with the same topic just in Southern Ontario. So hopefully I'll be able to compare the results across two jurisdictions and see how the emergency department system is working for patients in the two locations.
Wow, that sounds like really exciting work, and thank you for that introduction. We do have a few questions for you today, so if it's all right, we'll just jump right into the questions.
Great.
So I guess with research, a big question is funding. Like, how does it all happen? So what experience do you have of attracting funding? How does it all work?
Yes, so I have been successful in the past with two large funding bodies. But before I got there, I started out with smaller grants, scholarships at university at all levels of my training. So at the undergraduate level, graduate, master's level, and PhD. For the larger grants that I held, all of my background information helped me achieve them. So one of the grants that I had was from the Canadian Institute of Health Research. It was actually the Health System Impact Postdoctoral Fellowship from 2018 to 2020. And more recently, I'm currently funded by the European Union in collaboration with the National Science Center of Poland through the Polonez Bis Fellowship, where I have close to $300,000 in funding over 2 years to do the high use of the emergency department study.
Oh, okay. I see. So how do you go about convincing funding agencies about your strengths as a researcher?
So this is a twofold process, I would say. So the first is you have to demonstrate that you have a research question that is relevant to the scientific community as well as to the community at large, because oftentimes these are publicly funded granting agency. So you have to demonstrate that your question addresses a known gap or a topic that is of high relevance, high importance. So you have to have a clear research rationale for why you want to study the topic. You also have to have good methods to show that you have thought through how you would collect data, analyze it, and disseminate it as well. You also want to demonstrate that you have had past successes in disseminating your results, both to academic audiences, such as through peer-reviewed publications, presentations at different conferences, as well as to non-academic audiences. And of course, if you have previous grants that you held and you demonstrated that you took projects from start to finish, or that you collaborated with other researchers who are more senior to you on their projects, that will only strengthen your application.
Thank you so much for explaining that so well. I think it definitely helps make the whole mysterious funding aspect of research really clear. So thank you so much for that. And I guess our next question is what has been the impact of your research? Because I know impact is a really big part of research nowadays. So if you could just tell us a little bit about that.
For sure. And it's really important to be able to share the results of your studies, not only with researchers, other academics, clinicians, so experts in your field, which is also important to do, but you also want to think about the non-academic audiences. So as an example, here is a presentation I gave on the photo at the Canadian Association for Emergency Physicians conference that was held last year in 2022 in Quebec City. It was the first in-person conference that I attended following the closures due to COVID-19 restrictions. And here I was able to share my findings with clinicians, researchers, other people working in my field or similar fields. And I was able to impact the research that other individuals were doing. We discussed different opportunities for future collaborations, how my study could be replicated in other jurisdictions in Canada as well as outside of Canada. So that is one area. And then you also have to think about how your work, in my case, will affect the health system as a whole. So I was lucky to do my postdoctoral fellowship at McMaster University, as well as with a host partner organization, which was the Hamilton Niagara Haldimand Brant Local Health Integration Network. So it was one of the 14 LHINs that existed in Ontario before Ontario Health. And here I met with the Emergency Services Steering Committee in my region to show the results that I had in my study. And I was able to discuss them with policymakers, hospital administrators, clinicians, patient representatives, to demonstrate the characteristics and healthcare use patterns of individuals who had high use of the emergency department, and think of the processes for the patient. What can be done to improve access to care for patients, should it be at the emergency department or elsewhere in the community?
I think this is so great that your research is making like a direct impact on how we understand our like health policy and like our public health system. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. I think this is really amazing.
For sure. And it's really important.
Definitely. Especially after the COVID-19 pandemic, we definitely need this even more so. So what, I guess our next question is like, what are some of your most important publications?
So I have been involved in quite a few academic as well as non-peer reviewed reports that have come out. I have worked with a great spectrum of researchers in different fields. And this has all been very valuable to me. But one of the most impressive, I think, roles that I was a part of was a co-author of a chapter in a public health textbook. So actually, I have the book here. It's 1,000 pages about public health from all different aspects. And I was able to collaborate with some other co-authors to talk about accessing different databases and population health data to contribute to this textbook, which in Polish is Zdrowie Publiczne, in English, public health. And we're now working on the English translation of the book. However, I have to say it was a great learning experience as well, because I was able to work with some of the individuals actually on this picture, on this slide, who are great experts, national experts, international experts in their fields. And this is actually an image from the book launch, which took place in Warsaw, Poland.
I think that is so exciting. Actually getting published and like or having like a book published is a personal life goal of mine, and I think that it can be such a rewarding experience. And I'm actually really excited to check that book out. And like, this is so great.
Thank you.
I guess the next question the students are really interested in knowing is that what papers or research projects do you have coming through in like the next year?
Yes, and some of them I talked about earlier. So the two different studies on high use of the emergency department, first in Krakow, Poland, and second, analyzing some of the data from Southern Ontario. So those are the two research projects that I would say are top of mind. However, I also have some other papers, other collaborations that I am a part of. And on this photo, you can actually see from last week, I attended a conference in Vancouver where I got to meet in person, sometimes for the first time in person, as we worked previously virtually with some of the collaborators. We were looking at emergency department use data from all across Canada, from different provinces as well as territories. And specifically, we were investigating patients who had COVID-19 diagnosis and who returned to the emergency department more than once. So that was one of the studies that we're now working on writing up for publication. And then we also worked on a paper that looked at the sociodemographic marginalization of patients with COVID-19 attending the emergency department. So overall, in the health services research field specific to the emergency department.
Thank you so much for sharing your future projects with us, and we're definitely excited to know more about those in the future. I guess if just to end off our great chat today is we really want to know if you have any advice for budding researchers to excel in this field.
Yes, I definitely think the power of the work that you do is based out of the collaborations that you're part of. So what I could say is network, network, network. So this is an image taken from the Polonez Bis Fellowship launch from December of 2022 in Krakow, Poland. It shows different researchers and their mentors who were successful with this grant from all different disciplines. And such in-person meetings as well as virtual meetings are a great opportunity to meet with researchers in your field or not in your field, to either create collaborations on different projects, to get support in different, the use of different methods, or to even find mentors who will help you out along the way. Most academics are very happy to give you advice on how you can progress in your career. So feel free to attend conferences and approach faculty members, ask them about their pathways of what they did to achieve their role. You have some individuals who have taken the academic route to getting to faculty positions. You have individuals who have taken non-traditional routes of getting there. And it's a great opportunity to meet these individuals at conferences, at different scientific meetings, and to learn what you can do and what works best with your research interests.
I just want to say thank you so much, Dr. Bielska, for sitting with us and giving us this a time out of your really, really busy life, because you've been doing some really interesting and awesome things. And it's really great to get that glimpse into the life of a researcher, because I know for many of us, it can be really like kind of a mysterious situation. So thank you so much for demystifying that with us here today. And lastly, I guess the advice that you have of network, like that will stick with us and throughout this journey. And yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Natasha. And I wish all of the students, everyone listening, all the best with their research careers. Thank you.